Hey, what's going on YouTube? So today we're going to be talking about the top 5 Vanguard ETFs that you can quickly and easily get into. So what we're going to actually do is hop over here on the computer so you can kind of follow along and I can show you some visuals in real time. So we're going to be on seekingalpha.com and you can see the very first one here today is going to be VOO, which is the Vanguard S&P 500 fund. Now this is a very popular fund. A lot of people are into it. I actually had started with this on one of my personal portfolios and I think it's a great one for a lot of beginner investors. Now you can check out all the data points and everything else individually if you wanted to, but just kind of going over some quick numbers here, you can see over the last year how it's performed over 35%, over the last 5 years 103%, and then over 10 years 237. Now obviously there's so many other numbers and things to consider beyond just those percentages based off of what's inside them. If you go to the holdings here, you can actually go and see, what they're invested in as far as types of stocks. You can also see the top 10, and you can look at other websites to break down everything else. But the top 10 holdings right now, as of this time period, own about 27.44% of the overall fund. So Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Facebook, these companies are going to be a majority of what you have ownership in within this fund. Now, if we continue on going over here to the next fund, we're going to go with VTI. So VTI is another very popular one here. You can see this is the Vanguard Total Stock Market ETF. Its current share price is $227 as of this recording. You can see right over here in the last year, it's gone up 38%, in 5 years 104, and then in 10 years 236. So this is fairly close to how the S&P has been performing over that same time period as well. But the biggest difference with this is that you can see it's the total stock market. And the other one we were looking at was the Vanguard S&P 500, which is 500 companies. So this one right here, you can see how it's completely broken down. The top 10 holdings fairly similar to the other one as well too. But you can see the total amount of holdings on here is 3,910 holdings. Quite a bit more than the other one. Now, before we go on to the next one, if you are maybe somebody who's wanting to get started with investing and needs a place to actually go through and start with your portfolio, check out M1 Finance. This is the platform I personally use, and this is my actual account right over here. I'll have a link for them in the show notes down below. You can actually get a $30 bonus for going through that link and signing up. Help support out the channel, but you get more free stuff just like this. You could either go with ETFs with some of the Vanguard funds we're talking about here today, or you can create your own slices and create your own ETFs with the companies that you want to have in your own portfolio. Again, check out that link down below and get a free $30 bonus for opening up your account and making your first deposit. Now, next up on this list is going to be with VUG, which is the Vanguard Growth ETF. This one's currently at $297 as of recording. You can see here over the last year, almost 40% increase. This 5-year time period is 165, so a little bit more significant than the others. In the last 10 years, we're looking at about 360% growth. Again, so many different variables that you can look into. You can go and look at the holdings here. You can see all the breakdowns of these companies. Again, in the top 10, you're going to see a lot of the similar faces on here. This one has about only 290 holdings in total. Now, one thing to consider is sometimes when you go with one ETF, you don't need to go with the others because they're going to be pretty much crossing paths. Not always the case, but just something to consider because the first 3 are going to be fairly similar in holdings, while some of the other ones we're looking at aren't going to have these same types of funds. Which, speaking of, the next one we're looking at is VYM. This is the Vanguard High Yield Dividend. This one is currently at 105 current stock price. You can see over the last year, it's been about 28%. The last 5 years is a little bit smaller than the rest. It's about 43%. And the last 10 years is about 137. Now, this fund is obviously, as its title, a little bit more focused on high yield dividends. You can see its current dividend yield is about 2.78% as of this recording. If we go down to the holdings, again, you can see how it's broken down from different sectors and then its top 10 holdings. This looks significantly different than what we've been seeing in the past. This has about 413 companies all into this one ETF. You got things like Home Depot, Procter & Gamble, we got Bank of America, Comcast, Verizon, a whole bunch of different companies all wrapped up into one. Now, next up on this list is going to be with VNQ. This is the Vanguard Real Estate ETF. So if you heard people talking about getting into REITs, this is pretty much the same thing for you. This is going to have them all combined into one. You can see over here in the last year, it's about 34.91%. 5 years are looking about 17%, so significant difference between some of the other funds. And then over the last 10 years, you're looking at 74%. But again, this is into real estate, so it's quite significantly different than the other funds and what they are invested in. You can see this yield is also pretty high as well. It's almost at 3% dividend yield. And then if we go into the holdings right over here, you can see that these have a whole bunch of different holdings, completely different than everything we've seen before. We got Digital Realty Trust, we got Wells Tower, we got Public Storage, we got a whole bunch of different options that are all completely enclosed into this one fund, which are about 176 different holdings altogether. Now, there are more Vanguard ETFs that you can get into. So if you go onto like Seeking Alpha or any other one, you can just type in Vanguard ETFs and see which ones might actually work out best for you. They do have like a healthcare fund, they have a bond market fund, they even have energy and world stocks as well. So you can have variety in what might work best for you. So now I actually want you to learn more about how impactful it can be to be invested into just even one ETF. So check out my video right over here to keep on learning. My name is Dennis, and I'll see you in that next video.